Alright everyone, we've moved on to legendary levels of gaslighting from the Biden administration. Now I realize that the Biden administration is kind of out to lunch, because Joe can't even choose his own socks or feed himself at this point. He's gone off basically. The administration is effectively run by third parties, by military generals, corporatists, banksters, people like that, political insiders and things along those lines. At this point, probably not Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer, because Chuck Schumer is just Nancy Pelosi's lapdog, and she just broke her hip in Luxembourg, so that's probably not a thing. But it's run by other people. So I understand if there's an inept response to a national security threat. That makes sense to me. It is perfectly plausible. But if the Iranians actually park a drone mothership off your shore and are running sorties over a heavily populated area around New York City, you'd probably do something about that now, wouldn't you? Because the people that are actually calling the shots, they know what's going on. The fact is, with these drone sightings, the Biden administration just came out, and this is hysterical, and said, well, most of these sightings are just commercial aircraft. There are going to be cases where somebody sees a Cessna in the skies, and because they've been panicked about the prevalence of drones in the area, they report it as a drone. And they're wrong. It's actually just a regular commercial aircraft. That will happen. But that's not the plurality of the sightings that we're seeing. I've been contacted by 3 goddamn politicians in the last couple of days just on this issue. A couple of mayors and a goddamn state representative. I can't even imagine, if you have like a really large political channel, I can't even imagine how much your messages are blowing up right now. I don't necessarily envy you because it's hard to keep up even at my level. The fact is that there are a large number of drones flying over New Jersey and parts of New York. They are probably run by the US government. Let's get the points in line. Number one, they are not UFOs. These are not space aliens or anything like that. We're not being invaded. If space aliens wanted to invade this planet and were crazy enough to come within 1,000 kilometers of it and witness the death shroud of pollen and bacteria that is our atmosphere, they would either be very stealthy if it was localized, or they would simply drop down a shit ton of drones and just bombard the shit out of the planet. So it's not aliens. It's definitely human-made. Number two, there is at this time no particular evidence that the Iranians are involved, no evidence that the Russians are involved. It appears to be some sort of domestic program. That's what I think. I was told originally, effectively insinuated by the Biden administration too, that it was an Iranian drone mothership that was running sorties over New Jersey. And I'm like, okay, well, why not blow it out of the sky? But it never got blown out of the sky. Weeks later, apparently whatever the hell it is still there. And this is in congested airspace, by the way. This is near New York City. So you would expect there would be some sort of response. Normally, the U.S. Air Force would get involved. They'd scramble a couple of sorties. They'd blow it out of the sky, and then they'd call it a day. If it's Iranian-made, who gives a goddamn shit? It's over international waters. Nobody gives a fuck. You would blow it out of the sky, you'd get rid of it because it's invading your airspace. But that never happened. The reason why is because the US government is what's fielding these drones. They're testing out some sort of defensive technology, and they're simply not telling the public what it is. Now that's perfectly fine. Sometimes when you're trying to do national defense, you do have to hide things from the public, because otherwise you're giving that information to foreign adversaries and they might get involved. That's fine. But don't gaslight the public and say, well, you're just seeing commercial aircraft. No, bullshit. I've seen plenty of pictures, I've seen plenty of footage, I've got plenty of anecdotal evidence from people on the ground in that region that these are indeed drones, they're not commercial aircraft. They're swarming small areas of land at the same time. They're switching off their lights when approached, etc., etc., etc. It's some sort of new government drone or something like that. Not UFOs, not little green men or anything like that. But the government is definitely lying to us. And the Biden administration, by the way, is taking so much goddamn flack for this. because they won't answer anyone's questions. Instead, they just choose to gaslight people. Oh, you're just seeing things. Don't believe your lying eyes. It's a hot air balloon. It's swamp gas or something like that. No, it's not swamp gas. It's not a hot air balloon. It's not foreign drones. It's your own drones. Just own up to the fact that you got to... I mean, I don't know why they would deploy them in such an area. It makes absolutely no sense to me. If anything, it does speak to the ineptitude of the Biden administration that they would choose to test it over fucking New Jersey and in the New York City area. It's inexplicable. I can't even goddamn explain it. Something is definitely up. Something is wrong with this story, just as it's wrong with many things over the last few weeks. That's, by the way, a total coincidence. I'm sure of that. Something is desperately wrong here, where the U.S. government is testing military drone tech, and they are, over a fairly populated area within airspace, and then first blaming the Iranians, insinuating possible Russian involvement, now saying nothing is happening whatsoever. I'm sure that some of the sightings that you're having in New Jersey and New York right now are commercial drones, a Walmart drone or something like that, or commercial aircraft. That is true. But to chalk it all up to that is absolutely goddamn laughable. There's no possibility in the goddamn world. If you look at the pictures that have been taken of these drones, and one of them apparently crashed in somebody's backyard, I would like to see some up-close photographs of that and see where they're made from, what kind of processors they use. If those photographs are any indication, these are military-style drones. These aren't those little quadcopters that can drop off deliveries in your backyard from Amazon or something like that. While that's novel, and while actually I have no problem with that technology and find it funny more than anything else, that's not what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with Predator-sized drones, supposedly the size of SUVs. That was the official line that we heard. There's an Iranian drone mothership off the shore, and there are SUV-sized drones coming out of it and shit like that. That was effectively the official line. Now we're being told that most of the sightings aren't real. Something here does not make sense. When things make sense, as Judge Judy would say, oftentimes they are not true. The government is lying to you. The fact is that there are a bunch of drones flying around over New Jersey and New York. They're not being shot down. Nothing's being done about them. That's probably because the U.S. government is the one fielding them. So the Air Force has been given orders not to scramble its fighters. The U.S. Coast Guard has been ordered not to fire on them, etc., etc. That's the easiest explanation. It's as simple as that. That's about all. Peace out.